morning, and I've got a book that I'd like to read for you today. In fact, some of you were here a couple days ago, and if not, you can always go back and watch the video when I read the book You Are Special by Max Lucado. And today I thought I would continue that story because there is what they call a sequel, and a sequel is the book that comes right after. And this book is called If Only I Had a Green Nose. Do you guys ever want a green nose? Have you ever painted your nose green or some other color? Well, maybe after we read the book today, you'll want to go paint your nose green. Huh. Here we go. If you remember, characters were in the last book. This is Punchinello, and this is Lucia. And they are right now up in Eli's workshop. So let's continue the story. Lucia and Punchinello looked out the window of Eli's workshop. Like other Weemics, they were wooden people. But unlike other Weemics, they weren't standing in line in the village down below. "Look at them all!" Punchinello exclaimed. "I don't understand it," Lucia wondered. "Why would anyone want to paint his nose green?" "Because everyone else is," Eli responded, without looking up from his workbench. Punchinello didn't understand. "What do you mean?" "Well, everyone wants to look like everyone else. Sometimes it's square hats. Sometimes it's tall shoes. Why, last year, the big thing was yellow ears. Now it's green noses. Everyone wants a green nose." "Does a green nose make them smarter?" Punchinello asked. "No." "Does a green nose make them stronger?" "No." "Does it make them faster?" "No." "Then what does a green nose make them?" Eli looked up and smiled. Greener. But his smile left as he looked out the window at the long line of Weemics. "They think they'll be happier if they look like everyone else does. But I made them different on purpose. Freckles, long noses, dark eyes. They were my ideas. Now they all want to look the same." "Not me," Lucia said. "I'm happy just the way you made me." "Me too," agreed Punchinello. "I don't need a green nose to feel special." Then he paused and looked at the village. "But I wonder, I would like to see how a green nose looks up close. Do you want to go?" Eli smiled as the two stood to leave. "Just remember, I made you different on purpose," he told them. From street level, the line looked even longer, and the noses even greener. Lucia and Punchinello worked their way to the front of the crowd and watched as one Weemic after another stepped into the nose-coloring store and came out painted. "It's the latest thing," barked a Weemic on the sidewalk. "Don't be the only Weemic with a plain nose." "Who is that?" asked Punchinello. Lucia shrugged. "I don't know." "Why, that's Mr. Willie Withit," volunteered a Weemic from behind them. "Does he run the nose painting store?" asked Punchinello. "More than that," said the Weemic explained. "For his idea. So were the square hats and the tall shoes and the yellow ears. New things are his thing. He decides what is with it. Isn't he the best?" Lucia and Punchinello took a good look at this tall Weemic with a deep voice, big smile, tall hat, and green bow tie that matched his oh so great green nose. Both were thinking the same question. Lucia asked it. "Who made him the new thing picker?" The Weemic looked puzzled, like he'd been asked that question, never been asked that question. "I don't know. He always has." Then his eyes brightened. "Wait, look! Here comes a new nose. Oh, said the Weemix. Ah, admired some of the others. The just painted Weemic didn't stop to speak. He just kept his nose in the air and walked past. All the green-nosed Weemics did this after all. How could your nose be seen if it wasn't in the air? See? He's just walking right on by, not talking to him, sticking his nose up in the air. Walking around high-nosed, however, was risky. Weemics walked into walls, doors, and even each other. Lucia and Punchinello had to be very careful. One Weemic took up the whole street. Step back, he announced. It was the mayor. Make way, every Weemic. My wife is coming in for a touch-up. With one hand, he waved back the citizens. With the other, he guided her through the crowd. Horrible, just horrible, she cried, covering her nose with both hands. I chipped some paint when I bumped into a tree. Now the real me is showing. Horrible, just horrible. See? He's screaming and she's covering her nose. As the crowd passed, such a fuss. A green nose. Yeah, Punchinello agreed. You'll never catch me in the nose coloring store. I don't know. What do you think? Oops. Punch, I was hoping you'd go. Punchinello recognized the voice immediately. Twiggy? He turned and looked at the wide-eyed, sweet-smiling Weemic. His ears began to turn red. They always did when he saw her. He reached up and covered them. Why don't you paint your nose, Punch? I painted mine. Everyone else is painting theirs. Besides, you'd look good in green. Twiggy reached up and touched the tip of his nose. Yours is so cute. With that, she turned and walked away. Bye-bye, she waved. Punchinello moved one hand from his ear to his nose. He turned and looked at his reflection in a store. Lucia had to grab his hand to get his attention. Come on, Punchinello, let's go. As he walked past the store, he noticed Willie Whippet examining his nose in a handheld mirror. Later at home, he did the same. I never noticed before, but my nose sure looks pale. The next morning, Punchinello walked down the street with his friends Splint and Woody. Are you really thinking about it? Woody asked. Sort of, Punchinello answered. They say the paint stings your nose, Woody volunteered. And it stinks, Splinty added. The brush could get in your eyes, Woody continued. And it only comes off with sandpaper, Splint nodded. Shh! Punchinello put a finger to his lips and pointed to a large crowd of green-nosed Weemics standing in the square. Something's going on. The mayor was standing on a platform. His wife, nose freshly painted, and Willie Whippet were on either side of him. Welcome, one and all, to the first meeting of the Nosy Weemic Club, he announced. Your glistening green sets you apart, as Whippet Weemic. As if on cue, Weemics began stroking their noses. You are classy, you are keen, you are awesome, and you are green. Proud of his poetry, the mayor smiled, and the Weemics applauded. We owe it all to Willie Whippet, he shouted over the noise. The pioneer of the painted snout. Everyone applauded even louder. Oh, there's Willie Whippet, and there's the mayor, and they both got green noses, and they made their own special club, didn't they? The Nosy Weemic Club. People love me because of you, one shouted. I have more friends, cried another. With a green nose, I am a better Weemick, exclaimed a third. The mayor hung a medal around the neck of Willie Whiffet. You have changed the face of Weemicksville. We salute your brilliance. Without you, we'd all look alike. Like. The mayor paused, looking for the right word. Then he saw Punchinello and his friends pointing in their direction. He declared with a scoffing laugh, Them! Everyone else laughed too. Punchinello and his two friends lowered their heads and they covered their noses. Let's hear it for Willie Whiffet, shouted the mayor, the Weemick who discovered the cure for the common nose. As the town people shouted and applauded, Woody, Splint, and Punchinello quickly turned and walked away. They didn't stop until they stood in front of the nose coloring shop. Within a matter of minutes, all three were painted and walking down Weemick Lane. Hey, Punchinello, asked Splint, pushing his nose upward. Am I doing it right? Punchinello didn't look. I can't see you, Splint. If I turn, my nose won't be in the air. Phew, this is tough work, Woody added. Not only do you have to get painted, but you have to walk weird. Yeah, but doesn't it feel great to be with it? Punchinello asked. And for a few days it did. They hung out with other green noses and made weekly visits to the nose oculist for a nose polish. They bought nose gloves for cold days and nose brellas for rainy ones. All three read Willie Whiffet's new book, Winner by a Nose. Most of all, they enjoyed looking down their noses at the unpainted Weemicks. That doesn't sound very nice, does it? Step right. Oh, there's another page. Here we go. One day, when they were feeling especially smug, Splint said to Punchinello, I just can't imagine who wouldn't have a green nose. Punchinello agreed. Anyone without a green nose is so... So what? A voice interrupted. It was Lucia. Punchinello was embarrassed. I haven't seen you in a while, he said. You haven't seen anyone in a long time, she replied, except yourself. He started to speak, but didn't. He was bothered by what she said. And he was even more bothered by what he saw. He saw it the next morning as the three were walking into Weemicksville. Standing on the other side of the road was a Weemick with a red nose. He needs to get with it, they said to each other. But then they saw another Weemick, also with a red nose. Then a third and a fourth. By the time they were in the village, they were surrounded by red-nosed Weemicks, and those whose noses weren't red were in line to have them painted. So now everybody's got red noses and not green noses. Wow, look at that line to get into the store. Step right up, shouted Willie Whiffet from the steps of his store. Green noses are out, red noses are in. But we just got our nose painted green, they told him. No problem, he replied. Our red will cover the green. Step right up and get in style. The three friends looked at each other sadly. We thought we were in style, Woody moaned. What could they do but stand in line and have their nose painted red? For a few days, they fitted in, until one morning they saw a blue-nosed Weemick. Oh no, they said to each other. Not again. So they changed colors. But it was only a short time until blue noses were out and pink noses were in. Then pink noses were out and yellow was in. Then yellow was out and orange was in. Oh my goodness, what color should we paint our nose? Oh, soon Punchinello and his buddies had so many layers of paint on their noses they couldn't remember what they really looked like. This has to be the final color, they said, the day they walked out with orange noses. But once again, they were wrong. I am so tired of this, Woody moaned. Then he saw a purple painted Wemmick. Oh, I wish my nose was common again. The three sat on a rock and hung their heads. Me too, agreed Punchinello. I should have listened to Eli. You think he would help us? Why don't you ask him? All three turned at the sound of the familiar voice. Lucia, they said. He asks about you every day, she told them. Is he mad? Punchinello wondered. Sad, but not mad. Punchinello looked up towards Eli's house on the hill. He told me to tell you to come, Lucia spoke again. Could I take my friends? Of course. Would you go with me? Certainly. And so the four began the long walk up the hill to Eli's house. When they reached the top of the hill, Eli stepped out of the workshop and began walking toward them. He met them in the yard, one by one, examining their noses. Been trying to fit in, eh? Punchinello nodded. Did you succeed? Oh, not really. Every time we got close, someone changed the rules. That's the way it is. And my neck hurt from sticking my nose in the air, Woody added. You weren't built to walk that way. We just want to be ourselves again, Splint said. I'm glad to hear that. Can we? They asked. Of course you can, Eli replied. I'll always help you be who I made you to be. Then he reached in his pocket and pulled out a piece of sandpaper. But it's going to take some time. And so Punchinello and his friends followed their maker into the woodshop, where he spent the rest of the day removing the paint. It ended, but it was worth it to be normal again. The end. Sometimes we feel like we need to do something to be special, or we need to act like someone else, or we need to look like someone else. But we need to be reminded that God made us each special just the way we are. And it is such a joy to see the differences in each person. Our smiles, our noses, our ears, our hair. So today, I want you just to remember that God made you special. Just like Eli made the Wemicks special, each and every one. And whenever you think that you're different, just remember that God made you different, and he loves you just the way you are. God bless, and I hope that each one of you will join me tomorrow at church at 10:30, and we're going to have a special kids corner, 10:05 a.m. tomorrow for worship. We're going to have a special children's corner, so I hope that you'll come and join us for that. It should be